Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and today's video is special. I'm here to tell you a different story than normal. This is a story of a man at the age of 19 who lost his leg to cancer. Though he decided to run across Canada to raise money and bring awareness to cancer, all at the age of 22. This is the story of Terry Fox. Terry's early life. Terry Stanley Fox was born July the 28th, 1958, in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He had an older brother named Fred, a younger brother named Daniel, and a younger sister named Judith. Even as a child, his mother Betty and father Rolly would say he was determined, patient, and tenacious. All of these things would help him later in life. Terry loved games. He was fine playing on his own too, which was good because not many children had his perseverance when playing. He could spend hours alone playing games he made himself. Terry and his siblings were raised with good behavior and respect for older people, calling family friends Mr. and Mrs. even into adulthood. They were expected to stay out of trouble, and if they got a job, to keep it. All the children got seasonal jobs at 9 and 10 years old. They picked berries. They kept those jobs even into their teens. By 12 to 13, they had to buy their own school clothes and supplies. Everything wasn't handed to them. They all had to learn to do it for themselves, Betty said. In 1966, the Foxes moved to Surrey, British Columbia, but settled into Port Coquitlam in 1968. Terry was 10. Terry loved basketball, but he wasn't good at it. His coach, Bob McGill, told him to try cross-country running. The boy had no interest in running, but started to train anyway. He respected his coach so much, he thought he'd try. He found the workouts exhausting and found himself afraid at the start of the runs, because they were so demanding. The biggest rewards came at the end as his coach would welcome the runners in and say, "Well done, men." Just because Terry was not the first pick for the basketball team didn't stop him. Even if he was the 19th pick on a 19-person team, he was happy. It wouldn't stop him from practicing and playing one-on-one with his friends. He just wanted to get better and put the time into doing it. His hard work paid off. By grade 11, he was starting guard. His friend Doug Allward recalls, all of a sudden, he became someone by working hard. Terry believed the key to his success was his mental toughness. Adult years and cancer. Terry was unsure if he wanted to go to university, but Betty convinced him to enroll in Simon Fraser University. Terry decided to study kinesiology, the science of studying how the bodies, humans, and non-humans move. This was a step towards becoming a physical education teacher. He, of course, tried out for the junior varsity basketball team, earning a spot ahead of more talented players due to his determination. On November the 12th, 1976, as Terry was driving to his family home, he became distracted by some bridge construction and crashed into the back of a pickup truck. The car was undrivable, but he only had a sore right knee. Though he felt the pain come back in December, he decided to ignore it until the end of the basketball season. In March of 1977, the pain had intensified, and Terry finally went to the hospital. He had osteosarcoma, a form of cancer that often started near the knee. Terry was sure the car accident had weakened his knee and caused it to be more vulnerable to disease. But his doctors argued there's no connection. Terry was told he had to get his right leg amputated and would require chemotherapy. All this would give him a 50% chance of survival. 2 years before, it would have only been 15%. This impressed upon Terry the value of cancer research. With the help of his artificial leg, Terry was walking in 3 weeks after the amputation. Terry's positive outlook contributed to his rapid recovery. He endured 16 months of chemo and found the time in BC Cancer Control Agency facility difficult as he watched other patients suffer and die from cancer. Terry ended his treatment with a new purpose. I just wish people realize that anything is possible if you try. Dreams are made possible if you try. The Marathon of Hope. The night before his surgery, Terry had been reading an article about Dick Truman, the first amputee to complete the New York City Marathon. This inspired him, and he embarked on a 14-month training program. He lied to his family and said he wanted to do the same marathon, but after doing one in Prince George, British Columbia, he informed his parents of his real plans. Terry sent a letter to the Canadian Cancer Society. He announced his goal and appealed for funding. He stated he would conquer his disability and promised to complete his marathon even if he had to crawl every last mile. His closing statement was, "We need your help. The people in the cancer clinics all over the world need people who believe in miracles. I'm not a dreamer, and I'm not saying that this will initiate any kind of definitive answer or cure to cancer. I believe in miracles. I have to." The Cancer Society was skeptical of his dedication, but agreed to support Terry once he acquired sponsors and requested he got a medical certification from a heart specialist stating that he was fit to attempt this run. Terry had an enlarged heart on the left, common for athletes. Terry was warned about the risk he faced, but did not consider his condition a significant concern. Terry Fox wanted to raise $1 million for cancer research. Then he went to 10, and at the end, $1 from every Canadian, 23 million at the time. Terry sent out more letters to several companies seeking donations. Ford donated a camper van, Imperial Oil donated fuel, and Adidas his running shoes. He turned down any sponsor who wanted him to endorse their product. He didn't want anyone to profit from his run. On April 12, 1980, Terry was 21. He dipped his right leg into the Atlantic Ocean in St. John's, Newfoundland. He had trained for this, running over 5,000 kilometers or 3,107 miles just to get ready. He took 2 large bottles of water from the ocean. He was going to keep one as a souvenir, and the other, he was going to run from here to Victoria, British Columbia, and pour it into the Pacific Ocean. His friend Doug was there to drive the van and cook his meals. Terry's run did not start well. Gale force winds, heavy rain, and even a snowstorm. This was just the first day. He was initially disappointed by the reception he was receiving. But by the time they got to Channelport-Esbesk, 10,000 residents presented him with a donation of over $10,000. Throughout the trip, Terry frequently expressed his anger and frustration to those who were impeding the run. He fought with Doug regularly, and by Nova Scotia, they were barely talking. Terry's 17-year-old brother, Daniel, was arranged to meet up with them and be a buffer. Terry left the Maritimes by June 10th and was now in Quebec. But the guys had new problems. None of them spoke French, and drivers kept trying to force him off the road. Terry arrived in Montreal on June 22nd, 1/3 of the way through his 8,000-kilometer or 5,000-mile long journey. He had collected $200,000 in donations. The CEO of the Four Seasons Hotel and Resort, Isidore Sharp, found out about the one-legged kid trying to do the impossible. Sharp had lost his son in 1978 and offered food and accommodations to Terry. When Terry was discouraged because so few people were making donations, Sharp pledged $2 a mile and persuaded close to 1,000 other companies to do the same. Terry crossed into the province of Ontario in the last Saturday of June in the town of Huxelberry. There was a brass band and thousands of residents who lined the street to cheer him on. The Ontario Provincial Police gave him an escort through the province. It was hot, but Terry still did 42 kilometers or 26 miles a day. On June 11th, Terry made it to Toronto and got to meet his hockey idol, Daryl Sitter, and Daryl gave Terry his 1980 NHL All-Star Team sweater. The physical demands of running a marathon every day took their toll on Terry's body. Terry refused to take a day off, though he took two in Montreal at the request of the Cancer Society, and he was not going to take another even for his 22nd birthday. He frequently suffered shin splints and an inflamed knee. He developed cysts in his stump and experienced dizzy spells. Terry found in late August that he was exhausted before he began his day's run. On September 1st, outside Thunder Bay, Ontario, he was forced to stop briefly after he suffered an intense coughing fit. His chest hurt badly. No matter if he tried to push past it, it wouldn't go away. Terry is now 2/3 the way through this run. People were cheering Terry on, and unsure what to do, he resumed running. People were shouting, "You can do it, Terry!" Though a few miles later, short of breath and with a continuing chest pain, he asked Doug to take him to the hospital. Terry feared immediately that he had just run his last mile. The next day, Terry held a tearful press conference, during which he announced his cancer had returned, and it was in his lungs. He was forced to end his run after 143 days and 5,373 kilometers, or 3,339 miles. Terry refused offers to complete the run in his stead, wanting to complete it himself. Terry raised $1.7 million by the time he was forced to end his run. 1 week later, it was $10.5 million, and on the following April, he reached his $23 million goal, finally ending at $24.17 million. Terry lived to see that day, but he never got to finish his run. Terry Stanley Fox fell into a coma and passed away June 28, 1981, 1 month short from his 23rd birthday. He was surrounded by his family. His funeral was in Port Coquitlam, attended by 40 relatives and 200 guests, but it was broadcast to the nation. Legacy. Terry Fox is well known in Canada. His story is taught in school, and each year students donate $1 to cancer research and do the Terry Fox Run. Internationally, 30 other countries hold a run to raise money and awareness for cancer. As of April 2020, the Terry Fox Foundation has raised over $800 million for cancer research. Terry refused to be called disabled. He would not let others pity him. His feat helped redefine Canadians' view on disabilities and the inclusion of disabled. There are 15 highways and streets named after him in Canada. Trans-Canada Highway between Thunder Bay and Nipigon was renamed the Terry Fox Courage Highway. There are 14 schools named after him and 1 mountain. Terry Fox passed away before he got to finish his marathon. Even though he wanted to finish it himself, many have finished it for him out of respect to his dedication and cause. Before he passed away, Terry did say, "If I don't finish it, we need others to continue. It's got to keep going." My thoughts. I grew up knowing Terry Fox, knowing of the man who just wanted to raise money and awareness for this terrible disease. I've lost ones I love to cancer, and I know many others have as well. So I tell you the story of a man who died before he was 23, that was braver than me, that was more determined than I know I could be. He had a kindness about him and a shyness you can see in these photos. Now I state, no one is perfect, and I think that's a good thing. I want to keep his legacy going. I want other people to know his story. Please, my friends, spread this video, share this story, look into it more. September 1st, 2020 was 40 years since he got into that van. Today, September the 20th, 2020, is Terry Fox Run Day. Please, let's not let this man's legacy die, and let's help squash this terrible disease. If you wish to donate to the Terry Fox Foundation, there is a link in the description box below.